Hello and welcome to Unboxed, the podcast that dives deep into the world of custom packaging and innovative brand experiences. In each episode, we'll be exploring the latest trends, innovations, and best practices in the design and packing industry, and then taking a look at how they can help businesses like yours to create memorable and impactful brand experiences. I'm your host, Sam Johnston. Let's get started. So welcome to Unboxed, the show that dives deep into the world of custom packaging and innovative brand experiences. In each episode, we'll be exploring the latest trends, innovations, and best practices in the design and packaging industry and how they could be helping businesses like yours to create memorable and impactful brand experiences. As always, I'm your host, Sam Johnston, and in this episode, we'll be talking to Sergio Martinez Bejar, Chief Executive Officer at Blimburn Seeds and BBG Projects, and widely recognized as one of the most influential men in cannabis around the world. We're very excited to have you on the show. Thanks so much for giving the time, Sergio.
Thank you very much for having me in your show. I'm so excited about it. Packaging is a really important thing when in seeds, because at the end, all the seeds, they look the same. So
Yeah,
whatever the packaging is, it's going to give an extra to the consumer experience.
that makes sense. And as always in this show, we'll have 5 core questions. So if you're listening to this and you want to jump to one of those specific answers that Sergio is going to give us some insight on today, you can just jump to the chapter and get those insights and compare and contrast against other thought leaders. But the questions will be what inspired our guests today to get into their industry. The second one will be how do they think custom packaging contributes to creating unique brand experiences. The third one will be what can they share regarding case studies or success stories, in particular within the cannabis space, where they've seen brands transform through design and custom packaging exercises. The fourth one will be any of the biggest challenges or roadblocks that businesses like you may face as you continue to scale your business, especially when it comes to packaging and product and bringing those types of things to market. And the last one, we'll get our crystal ball out and we'll take a look at the future wherever possible and see how things are going to evolve over the next 5 to 10 years. So let's work our way all the way back to the beginning there. So what inspired you to get into your industry and how did you get your start in the field?
Well, I get into industry, yes, by an accident. All right. I'm not a cannabis user regularly. So we have to go back to almost the end of the 90s. And one of the companies that I was working with when I was 24, 23 years old, those companies that you have in Europe that they sell everything that you're gonna find in a tourist shop, like t-shirts with music groups,
Yep.
flags, stickers, whatever. In that time, they were selling like rolling papers and they were selling some pipes and bongs, that they were totally legal in that time in Europe.
Yeah.
And in the year 2000, some shops start opening in Spain, selling everything that you need to grow cannabis at home. So those people that I had working with them, and I had a really amazing relationship. They called me up in that time and say, "Hey, Sergio, we want to create a new company that sells everything that you need to grow cannabis. We want you to run the company. We're going to give you shares in that company. We're going to make you exactly equal the salary that you are getting right now. And we want you to start, developing that company." That's how I got into the industry. In that time, I was working in clothing, in fashion. So I was the chief director and a chief of production of a really important brand in Europe. And I changed completely what I was doing, and I got into that wholesale company that we were selling nutrients, grow equipment like light system, extraction, also seeds, paraphernalia, until today. So, and in those 25 years, in the last 12 years, 10 years, we have become just focusing in seeds. We sold seeds from the very beginning, but we came with our own brand. And at the same time, we were doing white label and logistics for some other seed banks
Mm-hmm.
around the world. And I think it was back in 2016 that we got really into the US market, developing, the brand as we are now in the United States, and really focusing, we only do cannabis seeds at
Yeah.
the end.
That's fascinating. What a shift between the fashion world straight into
Yeah.
this other side of the market. What are some of the things that you think made you successful? What was some of the experience in that other industry that was able to give you the knowledge and influence there?
I think, in that time when everybody started doing companies, cannabis related companies at that time, the main reason why the people started with those kind of businesses was because they were growers and they really enjoyed cannabis. Okay. For us, it was a little bit more about the business itself. So we came with our experience in logistics, our experience in marketing, our experience in sales. My background is marketing and sales. So at the end, I remember, when we start with our wholesale company, one of our first customers was like, okay, I need product. I want to buy from someone, but I need the product once I pay to get it to my shop. So the most important thing for them was to get the product on time
Yeah.
on the shop, So that I need something, that for you is like, okay, that's something that I have to do, yes or not, if I want to have
Yeah.
success in any kind of industry. So of course, it really helped us, all the experience that we had before, that we put it into this market 100%.
And there was a transition point there you were mentioning where you moved from a focus on distributing other people's products to being actually becoming a product company yourselves. What was the thinking there? How did you make that shift and decision?
We did a shift, because at the end, we became for years the official distributor for so many really good brands in Spain and also in Europe, and we make those brands really powerful in our country. But business is business, life is life, and when companies they reach the top and they want to go a little bit farther, sometimes they decide, okay, probably I can. And they're right to do that. Okay, they were like, okay, we have customers that for whatever reasons they don't get along with your company. So if there is no other company selling our brand, we're going to lose this customer. So they open, the game to other companies. That is totally normal. But then, of course, the whole cake gets split
Yeah.
in more pieces, and you lose control of the sales, because at the end, someone can sell exactly the same product that you are selling just for a few euros less or few dollars less, and we are not a company that we like to compete with prices. We like to compete with quality and with service. So in that moment, we were like, okay, we have a really good experience. We have so many customers everywhere. So I think we need to be owners of our own brands and products. So
Hmm.
that's when we decide to say, okay, whatever we do right now, we need to control the name, we need to control the strategy, the marketing, and everything. And so far, it worked really well.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, all of that
Then
experience of the customers, what their demands are, what the market looks like, of the whole logistics trail to then bring your own product into that and fill the gap. That's really smart.
and then we decide ourselves what kind of packaging do we want to put, not the one that the brand give you and you have to use.
Yeah. Well, that leads us directly onto our next question here, which is how do you think that custom packaging contributes to creating these sort of unique brand experiences? And what are some of the most effective strategies that you've seen for achieving it?
I think it's one of the most important things, at the end, it's the experience of when you buy something, you have an experience in the moment that you see it in the website or you see it in the shop until you go to your house, you open it and you use it. So I think each moment is very important in the whole change, So it's not, I explain you in the old times, the big brands of the big seed banks, the ones that they started in the 90s, they were selling the seeds in a paper bag. In a paper bag, the seeds were inside, no kind of any kind of protection. Everything was written by hand.
Yep.
So it was a good packaging for that time because everything was looking very like custom made. That they were doing themselves. But at the end, I remember at that time, one of the companies that I met at the really beginning of my experience. I can say the name. It's called High Mountain. Those guys from Holland. At the end, they focus it in just develop seed, packaging for seeds. So they did, the packaging for so many brands in that time.
Okay.
So we came from a paperback to a thing, with a plastic bubble that was transparent that you were able to see the seeds. before you open the packet.
Hmm.
Okay, so it was super nice. Okay, at the same time, it's not good. It's not a good packaging to keep the seeds safe. All right, because the light, it's better to keep the seeds in a dark place. All
Yeah,
right. So when they were hanging out in the racks in the shops and the light was going through it, of course, the quality was good during 1 month, 2 months, but probably at the end. So that's the evolution of the packaging of the seeds. So also we have changed the packaging for Blimburn, I think 3 times, and we're about to change it for the fourth time right now, and it's coming. It's coming. Our new packaging is coming now. I think in September. We design a packaging just for online sales
exciting.
because also the business has switched from offline shops to online shops. So at the
Yeah,
end, it keep on moving, and
that's
we have
fascinating.
to do new things, of course.
And when you're making decisions, let's say the packaging that's coming out in September or the other iterations, what was the process you went through for deciding what those changes were going to be? Did you have a certain sort of process that you followed?
I explain you, at the end, it's because you find out that what you were doing is not the best thing to do. I remember when we started with Blimburn, we wanted to have a packaging that no one else had it. So at the end, we developed, we were putting the seeds in those. It was a transparent plastic case with a film
Hmm.
that it goes with heat. And so at the end, it was like when you get the pills from a pharmacy.
Yeah,
So the seeds were inside. So nobody was able to take them out. So you know that they were from us for sure. But after a year or 2 years, we find out that the rate of germination was not as good as it should be. And it was because when you put the heat to
oh,
seal the seeds, you were hurting a little bit the seeds itself. So we needed to change completely. So
yeah,
now we went to a box that the seeds go inside in a tube with a little bit of foam inside, so the seeds doesn't go from one side to the other one, and it can break, it can get damaged, and at the
smart.
end it's totally dark. And we put also in the two sides of the packaging, we put a very special sticker so that people know that it is the sticker there, that packaging has not been opened before. So
Love that.
the people, we just to make sure that the ones that they're buying from us, they know that the seeds they come from us and they don't buy any fake item. Because I can tell you, I have seen, not in Europe, but I have seen in South America a bunch of fake seed packaging. That they were selling
Yeah,
seeds from brands, but the brand didn't do the packaging, and the seeds they were not from the brands.
you
So
got
you
to
need
watch out
to
for that. Yeah,
develop, at the end, what you're doing in order to avoid that. And right now, what we are doing is we have like a big envelope, and inside we have small envelopes, that they are totally sealed, and each strains go in a different one, so it doesn't mix, and also you can
nice.
put it in the mail with no problem. And it will get to our customer in the moment that they can open this really nice bag, and inside those small bags with all the strains that they bought,
Nice.
and with a QR, with all the information that they can get online, whatever, with the number of, with a reference, so we can follow up and see what are the batches of those seeds. So in order that if it's a problem, we can find out if there is more problem with other
Yeah,
customer, whatever. Just, to make sure, that what we guarantee germination and we guarantee what we sell. So if our customer follow all the steps that we put in our website, if they don't succeed, we send the seeds back again.
that's great.
So we really need to be sure that what they get is what they bought. That's the
That's
thing.
super interesting. And yeah, I didn't really even think about the sort of copycat activity happening places like South America and other areas, but it makes a lot of sense. Um, and that's one of the issues that any brand that's coming to this space or in other spaces as well will come against. Which leads us on to this fourth question. What are some of the biggest challenges or roadblocks that businesses face now, currently, but also maybe facing in the future? We have some people that listen to this show that are sort of aspirational. They have a great product idea. They're just trying to get that concept moving and getting it into market. And we also have listeners that have been in the industry for a long period of time and are looking at ways to pivot and protect their growth as they continue to scale. So what are some of the challenges or roadblocks that you've seen out there that they may be able to get some tips on?
Well, right now, it's, I think, everything is about the experience. So we don't sell products anymore. We sell experience. So that's one of the things that as a brand, and if we look to the future, is very clear for us. So it has to be like a satisfaction moment, from the moment that you buy it until the moment that you open. And to open the packaging is something that is really important. I remember, when we just need to see Apple, when Apple started selling, their iPods, I
Yeah.
remember, the it was very unique, the kind of packaging that they were using in that time. And it was like, wow, you open it and you see everything was so clean,
Yeah.
was smelling so good. So the whole experience was like, I didn't have that kind of experience before. Now everybody's copying each other,
Yeah.
but I know it's always time to improve. We have one of our really good customers, that is a marketplace. It's called Amnesia. And we did a collaboration with them like 3 months ago, and they only sell like 500 units in Europe and 500 units in US. And it's a beautiful box that in black, it looks so fancy. You open it and you have the seeds, sticker, a grinder. We also put like a fertilizer, something, for the germination
Nice.
of the seeds. So it was super cool, super good. And the people is buying those limited edition, not just because of the seeds, not just because of the present, also to be able to have that kind of box. And those
Wow.
five, they announced it like for 1 week, 2 weeks before. And when they came out in the website, it was sold out in 2 days.
Wow.
Totally
Nice.
sold out. Yeah.
That's amazing. And taking the sort of the whole logistics trail here that you deal with and that a lot of our listeners deal with in North America, every state has different laws. So packaging has to be slightly different. And there's lots of sort of very niche little considerations that have to be made. Is that the same in Europe, in the market where you are there? I know you sell globally, but I was just interested in the comparison.
It's it depends. Online is totally different than offline. Offline, of course, they are, in some of, each, it has to be in the language of the country that you're
Yeah,
selling it. So if for example, we sell offline Blimburn to every single shop around Europe, and normally, our distributor there or the owner of the shop has to put a little sticker on the seat, with a translation of what it is. The most important thing, is about the language in Europe. That
that
is
makes sense.
different in every country, and you cannot sell a product in Spain that is just in English. It
Yeah,
has to be in Spanish, yes or not. The same if you do it in France, the same if you do it in Italy. So it's a little bit more complicated, because of the languages. Besides that, it's not that difficult. But also, I have to say also, and to be honest, that seeds has been sold in Europe for 25 years as a collection item.
Mm,
So we put in our seeds, those seeds are the purpose of those seeds is to collect them, not to germinate them.
makes sense. Makes sense.
And you can read this in our packaging.
Yeah,
But at the end, it's up to everybody if they want to use it to grow. That
that's up to
everybody
them.
at the end is
Yeah,
is doing it. And in
that
and
makes
in
sense.
United States, it's true that we have a little bit of some complicated things. Not complicated. We need like in case those seeds are being sold in a shop, they need some kind of a number, a license number or register of the distributor that is selling those seeds to that shop. But it's not that difficult. But also, I have to be honest, and I think it's the same, almost the same in all the markets right now. The market is internet, is online.
Yeah,
Shops are closing every time there are less shops.
yeah,
I love to buy in shops myself, but it's sadly, the whole thing is changing. And people is they take you take your phone, and you buy directly from your fund and you have it in 2 days or next day in your house. That's the future.
100%. Yeah, we've seen a trend just locally in the market that we're in, where the smaller stores are now becoming more kind of experience buildings, because the mall type experience has now been taken online. So the expectation is different. If I'm going to go somewhere physical, I expect to be treated slightly differently, have this experience, this brand experience. And it's interesting to see how these smaller businesses are pivoting and changing. Not just we need to get all the product out and available to be seen. Instead, we want to welcome someone into this community, this place that mirrors them and gives them this sort of in-depth, deeper experience. And maybe that's sometimes they're bringing guests in, they're running events, they're doing things, but it's fascinating. And I think we're in a transition period where people are trying to figure out, like, what does the average person really want on the high street?
Yeah.
And that leads us on to our last
Agree.
question here as well, which is, how do you see the future of packaging and the future of product evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? And is there anything that our listeners could be doing today to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, we need to listen to the new generations. That's what I think. I think we are oversaturated, and I think I see new things that that it's like almost impossible that will come up to my mind the way that it's set up. So I think the new generations, the people that now they are going to start their university, they're going to come up with things that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the companies, we should be very, very in connection and in contact with the new people in order to come up with new things, and of course of packaging, because, well, you see, you can see, like, well, in the moment that you can buy something and a drone can bring it to you, the whole game change.
Yeah.
We are not ready for it, but it seems like probably it's going to be the future.
Yeah. And there's a lot of hype right now about AI and Gen AI. Is that having any impact in your industry? And do you think it will?
Of course. Yeah, of course. AI is everywhere. We are using it, and I think, it's like the people that is not using it, I think, they have a problem, because it's going to change the whole game in less than 3 years.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be, the way that we buy, the way that, it's like, we are not going to Google anymore. We're going to say, okay, please, I want to know which one has the best price for this item, which one is going to bring it to me the fastest, and this quality or whatever it is, and
yeah,
someone is going to say, okay, done, and you're going to have it. Somebody's going to ring your door and you're going to have it there.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen there's a trend in marketing agencies here in North America. It might be the same in Europe, but where they're now working on agent optimization for sites to try and increase the likelihood of these AI agents being able to identify you for these specific use cases, these questions, and then give the information as clearly as possible. So that people are starting to write websites, or at least in the back end of the websites, in a way they're writing for AI rather than writing for humans to try and get that experience, which is fascinating. There's a whole wave of that. They're not quite sure how it's going to go, but a lot of investment is going in that direction. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's right.
And if for people that want to, maybe they'd love to jump on and see some of the packaging and see some of the product that you have, or if they just want to follow on with your journey, what's the best way for them to follow you?
Website is blimburseeds.com. Everything is our website. Of course, we are in all social media. We're gonna start with a podcast in 3 months.
Nice.
That with our brand, and we're gonna try to speak not too much about cannabis. We're gonna speak more about experience and people, that they are successful, and they at the same time they have a relationship with cannabis or not.
Yeah.
So new things are coming up, but everything is our website and Instagram, X, Facebook, everywhere.
all the places. Well, we'll put some links in the show notes. So if you're listening to this live on one of your platforms, you should be able to go down to show notes, click one of those, and then you can jump on and see what Sergio and the team are doing. We're super excited to hear that podcast. The amount of experience that you guys have, just generally, not even in this industry, but just generally in the world of bringing product to market, super exciting. So we're excited for that. But that is it for this episode of Unboxed. Thank you to our guest Sergio for sharing all the insights and gold with us today. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review. Wherever you're listening to this, it means a lot to us and all the algorithm robot overlords that control things. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, you can reach us on email at hello@merchantboxes.com. And until next time, keep thinking outside the box and creating unforgettable brand experiences. Thanks, Sergio. See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. It was sponsored by Merchant Boxes. Merchant Boxes provide custom packaging to large businesses and small creators that customers love. If you are looking for award-winning custom package designs that make your business and products stand out from the competition, click the link in the show notes to find out more.